What's the meaning of life? Is it in the Bible? Is it about thriving or survival? Should I eat idle or hunt with a rifle? Which one? Is life a cycle or a spiral? Should I believe in Metatron or Archangel Michael? Shiva the backfat leader of Jesus and his disciples. Is deciphering the meaning even vital? Is there an afterlife or is death final? Is it about charity in the face of calamity? Is my purpose to find a wife and start a family?
His idea that means Islam is not for only scholars. Islam is for everyone.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, so you can follow it on your own way. Do you understand? You don't need to follow the scholars.
Do you agree with that? That you don't need to follow scholars?
You don't need.
You need scholars.
In some things that you can't understand for yourself.
Exactly.
So, but what places that scholar above you in your ability to understand?
You see, you don't need the scholars to answer his question.
He allows me to answer.
Go on.
You can answer, but
I'm listening to you.
put it down.
You validate their opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But-
validate.
Well, you've just said that they're valid opinions, yeah?
I said no. Me and you.
Yeah.
We're not educated enough.
Yeah,
to make
wait, go on.
Yeah. Me and you.
But they that
But
spend,
the people
yeah,
who have studied all their lives,
Go on.
dedicated their lives,
Go on.
studying all
Now,
the scriptures.
here's the point now.
So now, imagine they don't
They
have
spend all their
5%
life-
of the
they
knowledge.
spend all
They
their
got
life-
100% of the knowledge to
bruv.
verify.
All right,
no,
all right.
that's not the way.
The only way you're gonna get 100% of the knowledge.
it's not one person,
The
is
only
it?
way you are going to get the 100% of the knowledge from the Quran is if
I'm
you.
talking about studying and learning
let him
the
finish.
available
Let him-
knowledge.
let him-
Brothers,
that's there. I mean,
listen,
all
let's
the
just deal with
books,
common
yeah.
sense here, yeah? You can read the encyclopedia back to front, back to front, back to front. That is great. Unless you are the person that writ down the words in there, you cannot have 100%.
No, we are trying to
Let me
understand the
finish.
meaning
You
of the
cannot have 100% grasp of what is in
No,
the
we are
book.
not.
So even if
we are not
someone,
looking for 100% by the way.
Yeah, but what was
Wait. But compared to me and you,
Yeah.
does that person have 100% of the information available in
no, they don't.
Let me show you something.
Any of your scholars, I'm gonna done
The scholars,
any, sorry, my brother.
they're trying to understand the meaning, understand the meaning
Brother,
of
listen
the word of
to what I'm
God.
saying.
That's the only.
Listen to what I'm saying, yeah? Any scholars, yeah, that you stand upon to say they verified this book are just human beings.
Exactly.
Yeah? And they did not.
They can make mistakes.
Are you confirming to me that they did not one speak to Prophet Muhammad? Any of the scholars? Yeah?
Which scholars?
Any
you are
of the
talking
scholars?
about?
Any of the scholars? Did they speak to Prophet Muhammad? Yes or no?
Which scholars?
The
you are
ones that
talking-
you stand
no,
on.
no.
Wait.
Because
Wait, let me listen. Let me answer. The one you stand upon, the ones you stand upon
Yeah.
to validate the Quran
definitely
today.
some lived with him.
The ones
lived
back then.
Yeah.
But we can't verify their existence.
We can.
How's that?
Through the knowledge tradition we have. Through
Stories.
the tradition.
It's more
You go to-
stories.
You go to
It's
Saudi
more
Arabia.
stories,
they will
validated
show
stories.
you. No.
That's real. They could be true.
Brother,
The stories.
we have places where people are buried today in
Let me show you
Makkah,
how. Let me
Medina.
show you how. Let me show you how powerful interpretation.
Yeah, but I don't think it was answered.
No,
but
no.
I
Let me show you how powerful this interpretation thing is, yeah? Because there's many Muslim countries. If I say about Muslims and Christians praying together and being one with Rastas and that, a lot of Muslims think it's strange. You get me? Like it wouldn't happen in a Muslim country. Luckily, we got a brother here from Gambia. Yeah, come all the way from Gambia.
Yeah, how can your brother
And the
here?
reason why I want to ask you, because
He's never been to Gambia, no. It was born and raised in
I've
Hackney.
been to Gambia, I never seen it.
Are you listening?
I changed it from Hackney to
Are you
Brixton,
listening?
I know.
People say I was a lie. I lied when I said that happens in Gambia. So I just want this brother to verify
what happened?
whether it's true or a lie. You know what I'm saying? That there's a oneness in Gambia.
There's a oneness in Gambia, bro.
So why do you think they're doing it?
But it's all about humanity first.
Okay, I see.
For religion, it's all about humanity.
all brothers and
Yeah, we're all brothers and sisters.
And that's the African Christianity.
And I'm with that. I definitely.
That's
He said, by the way, he said
I know. But
Whether you're careful, not saying you
Why
are
is it
or
okay?
not.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you want, bro? Don't ask people in the park.
Don't ask like laymen.
Oh, behave, man. Get away. Get away, man.
bring your scholars. Bring your
Get
scholars, man.
away,
No,
man.
brother,
Go to the mosque.
in the
Don't
scholars,
get
in
away.
the scholars,
You take it to the
Get
mosque.
away.
the scholars,
Ask somebody with
Get away,
knowledge.
man.
Ask
Get
somebody with
away.
knowledge.
Sorry.
the scholars
Don't
in
ask laymen.
Islam.
Brother, come on, man. It's
Islam
talking.
is passed
He doesn't know though. He doesn't know.
Islam is passed through the people who lived with
Brother,
the Prophet.
let me explain one-
Wait. Islam is passed from the people who lived in the time of the Prophet.
Bro, why can't you lot stand on your opinion? If you lot can't stand on your opinion, why are you here chatting in front of camera? I don't get it. You're telling me don't ask
You're
people
asking very
to
detailed
say
stuff.
what you want.
Very
So what?
detailed. Ask the scholar. Ask the sheikh, ask the imam.
Ask
Go
what you
with
want.
No, there's no sheikh, there's no
We'll take
imam.
it to
You are
the
trying to
mosque.
have a
Listen, I don't have a book of questions for scholars. Me and my brothers are having a conversation. You're telling me, don't chat to these lot.
But they're
Go
laymen.
and chat to. Well,
They
where?
don't know. They might not know.
But maybe they don't know, but they're human
You
beings.
never accept those
You know what?
scholars you bring.
You know what? Islam
You
is.
have
Let
to
me say. Islam, is it made up of 100% scholars or
No,
some?
no, for everyone.
Brother, man, wait, man.
For
Or
everyone.
some scholars and then 99% normal people.
100% for
Laymen.
everyone.
So who is Islam?
Can I
Is it
answer?
wait? Who is Islam? Is it scholars or is it laymen?
No, it doesn't wait.
Who is Islam?
Islam is not a person
No,
or people,
but
it's a
who
way
ma-
of life.
Yes,
Islam is
but
religion.
who
No, no,
makes
no.
up
Islam
Chinese
is
people?
made for everyone.
Humans.
China's
Yeah.
not-
You want the answer? You want the answer?
Listen.
China's a country.
You want
Yeah,
the answer?
country. You got.
Islam
But
is
listen.
not
But
people
listen.
or
The
Somebody
country
who
is
knows.
made up.
Ask somebody who knows.
The country is made up of what?
But that's not the question.
The country is the country. What is the country? This is what I'm asking. What is
country's
Islam
made
made out of? Is it made out of?
Islam? Who is Islam?
What is Islam made out of? You know what I mean when I'm saying it. yeah?
Guidance.
It's made.
It's made out of
It's made out
guidance.
of people.
No, it
yeah?
ain't. No, it ain't.
No, you have to
Muslims
do
are-
it.
Alright, let me change the question.
there was no
Let me change-
Muslims, would
let me
there
change the
still be
question.
Islam?
Let me change the question.
If there was no
Let me change the
Muslim, would there still be
question.
Islam?
I agree with you.
You have to
I agree
differentiate
with you.
between
Listen,
Islam.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. You guys have corrected me, yeah? Thank you very much. Muslims, are they all scholars or are they all laymen?
Some are laymen, some are scholars.
In percentage, what would you say?
The majority are laymen.
So in terms of representatives, in terms of representatives of Islam, yeah, in terms of representatives of Islam, am I more likely to speak to scholars or
Yeah, more
laymen
likely laymen.
that live with me?
Laymen.
Am I going to learn maths from a
do you
maths
represent
teacher
Islam? Do you
or
not?
a layman?
Exactly.
Am I,
you represent
wait,
Islam?
Jedi,
Yeah, he
am I
does,
going to
he
learn
does.
maths from
You
a
are,
maths teacher or a
somebody.
layman?
Who's there? Who's available? Who's available?
Who would you
I will
prefer
take
to go
you to him. I will
Who's got,
take you to somebody who
who's got
knows.
the stronger knowledge?
I will take
I
you.
will
have the
I
stronger
will take
knowledge.
you.
I will learn.
You have to
of
go
maths.
and call your
I will
scholars
take
to answer
you.
him.
I will learn.
I will take
Forget
him. I will
about
take you.
I'm
scholars.
going
I
at the
will learn.
baseline.
You cannot answer his question.
All right, I will
Forget
learn.
about
Ask
scholars.
somebody who knows.
Wait, guys, we're shouting over each other.
But you're
Yeah?
asking somebody who doesn't know.
You are
Answer that
excited.
question,
I can
Jedi.
take you to
You are
somebody who
excited.
knows.
No, no, you don't
Somebody
need
to
your
answer your
scholar
question.
to answer his question.
Guys,
Brothers,
He doesn't want to answer. That's
guys,
right.
One at a
time.
He doesn't want to answer. He doesn't want to answer.
I don't
we're not letting
want
him
No one
answers.
answers.
You're not letting me answer. I
Listen,
want-
listen,
You're
listen,
asking
wait.
laymen who
Wait,
don't.
Let him answer the
honestly,
question.
You,
Then,
you
yeah,
know
you can go
can't.
next.
You actually can't. You
can't
can't
speak.
come in and speak, yeah?
Listen,
Because these
answer-
brothers are speaking.
answer the
One,
question.
you're undermining these man, yeah?
I'm
You're
not.
you of course you're undermining them.
I'm
You're
not.
telling them they're lame men
Yeah.
and they don't know the
They-
answers.
they will tell you
Listen,
they're
the
lame.
questions I'm asking, which I don't believe are scholastic questions, because I'm not a scholar. So I'm a layman
I
asking
asked
a layman's question
I asked you
to
a
fellow
layman's
laymen.
question. I
So,
asked you a
Yeah?
layman's
No,
And
you can ask them. We don't care about.
Exactly.
We don't need the scholars
When you
to
start
answer
talking
your
about
questions.
If you
what
don't
I'm
know,
beefing,
just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
when we start talking
You don't
about
know.
yeah,
Don't speculate.
exactly.
I
Then
don't
you give
know,
him an
so you don't
answer
know.
though.
Okay, but if you really want to answer your question,
We
I can take you to somebody who knows the answer.
Or you can bring that person here.
I'll give you an
But
example.
why? I'm not going to
I'll
seek
give you an
no
example.
questions on
You
Islam,
don't need
bro.
any
Why would I?
scholars to
Why?
answer your
Why would I
question.
go to the mosque to go and speak about
Your
Islam?
student is supposed to seek knowledge. You are the.
I'm
the
here.
not
The
seeking
person
knowledge.
Is not supposed to seek
Me
you.
being here, oh my brother, what man?
Knowledge doesn't
Me
seek you,
being
man.
here, talking
Knowledge-
to my fellow brothers.
You seek knowledge.
Okay, okay,
Knowledge doesn't seek you.
Hey,
You
let's
seek
go back
knowledge. You
to
travel
what
for
we-
knowledge.
You're not helping.
Brother, I just want to say something.
Every week.
Islam is a way of life. And this modern day is all about spirituality. Do you believe in spirituality?
Depends on what you mean by that, bro.
Alright, when I say spirituality, it's believing in the oneness of God. And that there's only one God, and all of us, mankind.
I believe there's only one God, but it's just a belief. I don't have facts.
No one has a proof.
Yeah. My belief is that there's one God. Now that is a belief, bearing in mind that I was raised with certain conditioning.
Where do you get that from?
I was raised with certain conditionings. I didn't pluck that one God theory out from myself. I'd be lying if I said I did. But it's still what I hold stead, even though I don't hold on to the religion that taught me that.
Well, you guys are Rastafari, right?
I'm not Rastafari, no.
Oh, you know, what are you then?
I'm Jedi.
Jedi. Please to meet you too, brother. Alright. Please to meet you. Please to meet you too.
Your name is?
My name is Du, yeah. Alright.
Salam alaikum, my brother.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Alright.
I can't give you support. What's wrong with you?
Where's your nephew? He's not here, is
I
he?
tried to give you
Is your
support.
nephew here with the thing? I'm the new
So, what scripture? What's your scripture?
What do you mean scripture?
Like, what book do you follow?
He doesn't have his book.
What prophet? Do you have a prophet? Do you have a prophet like a Messiah? That's someone that tells you.
Do I have someone that tells me how to live?
No, not do you have someone that tells you how to
Do I have
live.
someone that tells me what's good and bad?
No. But before you were Jedi, who's the founder of Jedi? Who's the founder of Jedi? Like,
He's human being. That's just the name.
just the name.
Jedi's my name, bro.
Oh, Jedi is your
Do you
name.
think Jedi was a religion as well? Oh, no.
He follows Jedi.
Sorry, bro. My name's Jediah.
Oh, Jedi. Nice to meet you, bro.
Follow Jedi.
They assume that you have to have a philosophy talking by someone else.
Who's
As
that?
if you can't just exist. That's what it seems like my man says.
That's what he
What I was
said.
trying to say
Go on, bro.
What book does he study?
the scholars is
Yeah.
our
That's
reference
what I
point.
want to know.
Say that
The
again?
scholars, they are our
He doesn't have to have a
reference
book.
point.
But they're
Might not have
humans,
none.
though.
They are humans.
They're humans.
Yeah, some
So
of
do you
them
don't
may-
see a problem,
Yeah,
sorry,
some
when
of
you're
them-
talking about divinity
No, some-
and a divine message
No.
given to you by angels, yeah, God and angels, given to a perfect man, and now it all relies on a human being.
No.
That is not perfect and infallible.
No, we use those scholars as a reference
You
point.
do. You lean heavily on what they say, on what they tell you is right or wrong.
Definitely.
Yes, of course you do.
No, definitely.
Do you go against what the scholars say in
He
Islam?
doesn't.
You know what it is, brother? No,
Do
nobody
you,
goes
my
against
brother?
it.
Do you? No one does, do they?
But why would they
No
say
one
something
does.
against Islam?
This is what I'm saying.
No.
Because you lean heavily on what they say. You lot are following the scholars. In fact, you're following the scholars for your interpretation on the very thing that you're waging your
Brother,
soul
I
on.
tell you something. Why we follow them? You see, the scholar, they're just trying to tell you the intended meaning
They're-
of the verse.
they are
wait.
dictating to you.
No, wait.
Of course they are.
No, wait. They're not dictating.
They are.
Okay, wait.
they are.
You don't have to follow it. You
You
can
do.
follow.
You do.
No,
You
wait.
do.
No.
Otherwise, you get.
You
Otherwise,
wait down.
otherwise, brothers will
listen.
say that you're practicing.
No, you-
I forgot the name of the
No,
thing,
you
but
are-
you're polluting
no.
the
If you
meaning.
listen,
Sorry, brother. Go on.
It's better. You see, they are the reference point. The scholars, they study this subject for a long time, so they write books about it. Now they are trying to make sense of it. Now
I get
they're trying to look up all the places
I get it.
to show what they are saying.
The scholars are the gatekeepers for Islamic meaning and for the Islamic ideology. They are the gatekeepers.
Brother,
yeah?
it's not about
So-
Islam. Everything in the world, there's a scholarship on it.
Except for the way I
If
see
you
myself.
go to the hospital,
Except for the way I see myself.
No.
Yes.
Be honest.
No.
When you go to hospital, you go to a doctor
Yeah.
who
And they
study.
come with their fuckeries.
No.
Yeah.
Wait.
Then they kill people.
No, they can kill people.
And they poison people.
No problem.
And they make money.
Listen.
Forget
they are
about the
trying-
hospitals,
No,
bro.
they are trying to cure you.
Yeah.
You understand?
You know who
they
the-
can give you something that can kill you.
They can, yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
But they're trying to
No,
cure
they're not.
you.
They're trying to generate money. I mean, the doctors and the nurses that work there.
Have you been
Listen,
to a hospital?
Brother, listen to me.
Well, have you been to a hospital?
The doctors and the
No,
nurses.
have you been to a hospital?
The doctors and
I'm
nurses.
asking you, brother, be honest. Have you been to a
The
hospital?
doctors and nurses that work in the hospital.
Have
Yeah.
you been to a hospital?
Are you listening? You listen?
Have you ever been sick? You went to a hospital?
The doctors and nurses that work in the hospital, yeah.
I don't know why you go to a place where they kill you.
Brother, listen to me, man.
It doesn't make sense.
Listen to me, yeah.
We all go to hospital.
You want it to make sense? I'm down to try and
Because you
help it
didn't-
make
you
sense.
didn't
The
listen.
doctors and the I did listen to you. I'm
I was trying to tell you about the scholars. You didn't listen.
the doctors and the nurses, yeah, that work in the hospitals, majority of them, I would say, have good intentions. However, it's been proven that some of them do kill people, and they're sitting in jail now for it.
I
yeah?
don't have a problem.
Yeah?
I know
All right.
that.
Secondly, the workers are not necessarily always a reflection of the employees are not always a reflection of the employers. Yeah. So those people that own the medicines and the pharmaceutical companies that provide these so-called quote-unquote
If
cures
you
for
are
us.
bringing
Listen to
medicine
me.
in
I'm
it,
just
you
giving
are
you
talking about
bruv, I'm giving you the example.
You are not
I'm giving you an example.
you are
As the,
comparing
I'm giving
the-
you an example.
you are
I'm not
comparing
comparing.
the
I'm giving you an
doctors,
example of how the man on the ground that is doing the good works with a good heart can still be perpetuating something that is actually at its core evil and not working for the greater good of mankind. So therefore, the pharmaceutical companies will produce and create diseases so that they can give the cures, so that the nurses and the doctors that want to do good in the world can have a job and give it to us. However, at the top of it, yeah, it is just more perpetuating of the same cycle. You understand? Because cures do not make money. You understand? Medicines do. Medicines that keep you strung out and you have to take 5 times a day, blah. That is what medicine is really about. It's not really about cure. At the level of doctors and nurses, they want to cure people.
Why
But
that
at
has
the
to do
top,
with
at the
scholars?
top, it's same with scholars. Scholars can have their own agenda for what they say. You with me? Give me eye contact, bro. Give me some eye contact. Because you're getting like I'm boring you, and I know I'm not. Scholars, listen,
You see,
brother.
you are Western.
Scholars.
No, you are Western
I'm
idea.
not.
No, in my country, when you speaking someone, you don't. It's not because you watch.
Don't
it.
stare,
No,
don't stare at me.
No.
Just
In Africa, we don't have this. You have eye contact. We don't have that. In Africa, no. I can,
when you're doing this while I'm
listen,
chatting,
I
when
can
you're doing
look-
this while I'm chatting,
I can look
it's
at
like-
you without listening
Yeah,
to
but
you.
I want to have a conversation with you.
Okay, I look at you.
You don't have to stare at me.
Systems like today.
You don't have to stare at me.
I
my
can
brother.
look at you without listening to you.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you, bro.
Yeah. So,
I'm agreeing with
so
you,
it's
bro.
not because I
Don't leave me hanging, man. That's bad, man. Have a good nature, man. Have a good heart. Like it's not me against you, you
Okay,
know.
what that
So
has
back
to do
back to
with
the
the
scholars.
doctors?
I was giving you the example, yeah. You obviously didn't listen to the point, but I know it's been captured on the camera. So later on, you can go back. You can go back and read it and be like, "Bro, Jedi." When I was being ignorant, Jedi was actually
before I
saying
go
something.
there, you can repeat it.
Brother, what I was saying to you is the same way that the pharmaceutical companies may not have our best interests at heart, however, the doctors that are providing medicine by these companies do have a good intention. So they want to cure us, yeah? Same way a scholar could have his own intention in terms of what interpretation of a text he puts out there or they put out there as a body. Yeah, you understand? Now the person on the ground has got good intentions as these scholars have studied, they've worked hard and they've given us this understanding, so we stand on the understanding of a scholar.
That's different.
Yeah?
You
It's not
cannot
different,
compare.
it's the same.
Okay, give me
It's
chance
exactly
now.
the same.
No, it's not same. I will
Why
respond.
is it not the same?
Okay, you listening now. You see, the scholars, they give their argument why it has to be right. So now you can read it yourself.
Pharmaceutical people, they put out papers, medical papers.
No,
Yes, they
different.
do. No,
This
it
different.
ain't. No, it ain't. They actually discuss and do research on medicines, but what they do is withhold certain informations about the causes of medicines. You don't think that they discuss the effects of chemotherapy?
No.
You don't think they've discussed that? You don't think they knew that more people would die from chemotherapy than live? You don't think they knew that the CBD in cannabis would cure certain cancer ailments?
Okay.
Way more
Why
than.
don't you talk about the good things the doctors are doing?
Fam,
as well?
because
Can you talk about the good things that the doctors?
I had to give you
No,
this
no,
analogy.
you've
I
been
spoke
talking
about the good
about
about the
the
doctors
bad,
and
the bad.
Brother, I spoke about the good about the doctors and the
The
nurses.
bad can be two things.
I spoke about the goodness of the
Intentional
doctors
bad.
and the nurses. I said the doctors and the nurses can be good people. I said that the medicine can actually heal people. All I spoke about is the intent behind the minds of the pharmaceutical companies and their owners may not be the same as the doctors and nurses on the ground level. Like if you can't handle, that level
You see, I don't want you to compare the scholars and the doctors.
Alright, cool, then move off it then. I don't know what to
we
say,
are
brother.
talking, we are talking something deeper here. We talk about
Cool, man.
Islam.
I feel like
we talk
my
about
hand-
some
I feel
people
like-
who believed in God, who believed
people,
that they will
good
face
people,
God,
good people.
face God
Good people.
in the day of judgment. Scholars are trying to make sense.
You believe that's what scholars are doing, and that's fair. That's fair enough. But for me, scholars seem to be gatekeepers to the information. Scholars seem to be able to dictate the paradigm.
They are not dictating.
All right, bro.
They are not
All right,
dictating.
listen.
You
when
are
I-
a free person.
You are free.
can
When I
follow
say
or not,
dictate,
you don't follow.
when I say dictate, yeah, I'm surrounded by Muslims. How many Muslim brothers here? How many Muslim brothers here are prepared to go against what the scholars have decreed?
There's many.
How many?
There's many. Wait,
No, bro, don't
wait,
speak for everyone. There's Muslims here.
Are you asking every? Each
I am.
Okay.
I said, how many Muslims here are prepared to go against the decree of the scholars, of Islamic scholars? How many of you are prepared? Are you prepared to do that though? It's just a question. Brother, it's just a question. Just quick. Yes.
The scholars get their conclusions from the Quran and the Sunnah.
Cool. Then you don't need the scholars then.
No, but they get their conclusions. They don't
You don't need the
You don't
scholars then.
understand
Brother,
what
I
my
hear
question-
you.
you don't
You don't
understand what I'm
I hear
saying.
you screaming at me.
You never understand.
The only reason why I said that is because you refer to the audience.
Yeah.
You're just the audience. So I'm about to answer it,
Are you
bro.
prepared to go against them?
I'm prepared to answer your question if you allow me. My name is Mohammed, by the way.
Yeah, I know your name. Go for it,
Can I
brother.
shake your hand?
Yeah, of course you can.
Thank you very much. All right, cool. So, firstly, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that one of the first people in Jahannam will be misguided scholars. So when you say scholars, firstly, you need to be specific as to which scholars. Firstly,
All right, cool. Yeah.
I don't know if
yeah,
this
yeah,
goes
yeah,
with
yeah.
or against your point, or
you
if
can
it's
scream. You know, it don't go against my point.
because I wasn't here long enough to hear. The only reason why I
I
addressed
think
this.
you're confirming my point that there's bad scholars.
Of course
So
there
when
are,
people
man.
say
Of course
scholars,
there are.
when people say scholars
Who
to
told
me,
you that all the scholars
Omar,
are good?
please, Omar,
brother,
please.
you just spent.
I want to see where he's going with this.
You
Please.
just spent all this time, yeah, defending scholars, yeah. You just spent all this time defending scholars. Your brother,
Sorry, Jedi, please, let me hear this.
You spent all your time defending scholars.
No,
Yeah?
no, you're not listening because you just keep talking. Go and watch the
He'll
recording.
let you talk.
You know, no.
He'll let you talk. Bismillah. I don't know what you said, Akhi, please.
No.
Bismillah.
Because he's been talking about.
Okay,
we are
listen,
talking
he's
about-
silent now. Talk, please.
Okay. What I was trying to tell you about the scholars, they are trying to tell us, they're trying to write books about, for example, some verses which are ambiguous. They're trying to make sense out of it. So they have their own argument to support what they're saying. So you can go there and they read it. If it doesn't make sense what they're saying, then you have to say what they're saying is wrong then. Because the argument is you to say what they're saying is wrong.
But he said he agreed with it.
Did you at any point differentiate between good scholars and bad scholars?
When you say scholars in Islam, this is a big subject to talk about. Because there's scholarship, someone can just start preaching, have some flowers in a mosque, and then people will call him scholars. But if you go deep, this guy never have a deep knowledge about Islam. Do you understand? Because in some mosques, some can, example, last week, someone was telling me something here bad. One imam was reading behind him. He read something in Arabic, which is completely destroyed the verse. Without knowledge. One guy who knows little Arabic, he trying to tell him that the imam couldn't understand, even he made a mistake. So some people call this imam as a scholar.
Did you
Did you
at
understand
any
me?
point today in our conversation?
No, what I'm trying to tell you, don't use
You
the
didn't
scholar.
do that.
Let him
You didn't.
finish
So
asking his question.
so this is the thing, yeah. This is the thing. You're accusing me of not listening to you, but I've listened to you a lot better than you've listened to me, I would say, because I've actually taken on board your points. At certain points, you didn't even look like you was on this planet. You're staring up in the... Now your brothers come here, you're telling me I ain't been listening to you, but I actually have been listening to you. You at no point differentiated between good scholars and bad scholars.
Definitely,
Did you?
there's a good
Even when I
scholar.
said, even when
saying there's a good, that's what I'm telling you.
but
There's
you're
someone
saying it
in the
now.
mosque.
You're saying it now. He's mentioned that.
Because you
at
are
no
not
point did
listening
you
to me.
before
You
that.
all talk about medicine, doctors. You understand?
Bro, he's
Fam, you
silent.
love to twist. You're trying to twist man's words, bro.
Omar, please. Omar, Akhi.
So anyway, there's good scholars and bad scholars.
Everyone
the point I
knows
was
that.
trying to make to him is that if you stand on the word of scholars to deepen your knowledge or your interpretation of a text, then that is a dictation, because what they write is followed by masses, So then it's like, no, my brother, that's not correct. And then what you're going to correct me on is based on what you lot have heard from scholars, right or wrong.
Some scholars are
Because you're not
correcting
standing on
scholars.
your own interpretation. The brother just said to me that all scholars do is read from the Quran and did you say
Our
hadith?
interpretation is
The
based.
conclusions are based on the
Yeah,
Quran and the Sunnah.
it's based on the
Okay,
interpretation of the
Quran and
Prophet.
Sunnah. So imagine
No.
this. So imagine this, the Quran and the Sunnahs are available to everybody.
It is.
Yeah.
If you're on the
However,
internet.
you need somebody else entirely to clarify what's in there for you.
You don't need sometimes the books are written
Are you saying
for
there's
you.
no need for scholars?
There is need
Okay,
for
so like I
scholars.
said, you
didn't say
need.
that.
I've just said, fam, you're going round and round in circles. You're
Akhi,
outsmarting
can I ask you
yourself, bro.
something? Wait here, please.
Don't do it, Hussein, bro.
Jedi, wait here. Hussein.
You're gonna have to go home and apologize.
Hussein.
You guys have to go home and apologize.
Hussein, can I
bro.
take it from here, please?
You get me? Now
Hussein,
you're
can
doing
I
a mad one.
Apologize to who?
Huh?
To who?
To yourself.
No.
Hussein, can
Don't
I
break
take
any.
it?
Don't
Hussein,
break any
You are
rules.
not listening.
If I get
You're not
something wrong,
listening.
if I
Because
get something wrong,
you don't know nothing.
don't stone me. If
No,
I get
no.
something wrong,
No, listen.
that's just gonna be
You
me
don't know nothing.
in the mirror.
No,
Like,
no.
right, you fucked up
What
there,
do you
lad.
know?
That's me.
No. What
If
do you
get
know?
something
What
wrong,
do you know
your
about?
brothers are
No.
not gonna be
I'm
happy,
asking
bro.
a simple question. What do you know?
Whisper to him, bro.
What do you
Whisper
know?
to him.
No. What do you know about Muslim scholars?
Whisper
No.
to him.
What do you know?
You lot don't listen to each other, and you want me to listen to you.
No. I'm asking you.
You lot don't listen to each other, bro.
Talking. Listen.
It's true.
Everyone's like that.
You just had to tell another brother as well. Yeah, just now.
I'm asking simple question.
They're not listening to
Listen,
each other.
brother,
You're not listening to
I'm
you.
part of the you lot, though.
Yeah,
innit?
but you had to say
But
to
I'm
man.
prepared to listen to you. So
Yeah,
hold
you're
on.
prepared to
We are
listen to
talking
me,
about-
but he's not
we are
listening
So
to
I'm not the
you.
you lot then, innit?
But you lot
We
are
are
not listening
talking-
to each other.
No, we are talking
I'm trying to
about.
listen to him.
I want to
Listen. All right, Omar.
I want to ask you a simple question.
Omar.
I want to ask you. You see, we are
Omar,
talking-
Akhi, please listen to me 1 minute. What I was going to whisper in your ear, shall I just say it out? Please listen, bro.
I'm
Wallah,
listening.
you're my brother in Islam. I love you for the sake of Allah. Bro, please, if you don't have a knowledge on something,
No,
please
I'm-
do not.
Allow it, innit?
Allow it.
If you don't know what you're chatting
Listen,
about, allow it, brother.
listen.
With all respect,
No,
Akhi,
wait,
please.
we are talking about Islamic scholars. I'm asking him.
Can
what
I- alright,
does
can I
he
take
know?
over? Can I
What
take
do-
over?
You can, but I need one
Is that
question.
okay?
What do you know about Islamic scholars? That's what my simple question. If you are talking about Muslim
Check this,
scholars,
check this.
you should know. This guy was talking about Islam.
Are you taking him out? Are you taking him out? You're going to take him for a quick second.
I'm not
You're
going.
not
I'm
going?
here. I'm here.
All right, cool.
I'm asking
I don't
you.
mind chatting to both of you.
Can you answer?
Let's just have a conversation.
Just chat to one of us.
Let's put
Can I take
let's have a
this?
group
You can't
conversation.
But I'll just,
But if I take
What do you
this,
mean
will
by
you
take
promise
this?
not to interject?
I don't get how we.
Please, let him clarify what
How
he
are we
said.
having a conversation? How? Wait. Brothers, explain to me. How did this turn from a group conversation to a man saying, "Can I take this?" And you're saying, "Yeah," and then he's saying, "If I take this, you promise not to interject."
no, that's
Were you
because-
not? Were me and you not having an intellectual reasoning?
We
Are you
having
backing out
before
of that?
everyone come
Are
here.
you leaving?
No, I'm not leaving. I'm
You
here.
know, you never.
I'm not leaving.
Everyone was here
I'm
already.
not leaving. He's asking me.
Yeah. Are you gonna leave now?
No, I'm not leaving. I said
stand
I'm not
there, but
leaving.
Are you
I'm
gonna leave the
here.
conversation though?
Yes.
You're not talking to me anymore.
I want to be finished. I'm asking you a question. You see, I have asked you a question. You don't listen. You never listen to my question. Because did you
Sorry,
listen?
you know what? Answer me
Did you
again.
listen to my
Sorry,
question?
so much distractions going on. Answer me again.
I'm asking you. You are talking about Muslim scholars.
Yeah.
What do you know about Muslim scholars?
Nothing. That's why I'm talking to Muslims about the
So
scholars.
you know something because
No.
you are not listening. You are talking about Muslims shouldn't rely on these scholars.
no.
You should rely on your own. So they're
that's
all
not-
liars.
that's not
They're
to
all
do-
doctors.
I didn't
They're
say
all-
that. I didn't say they're all liars.
No, you
I
are
said-
saying
I'm not-
doctors kill. Doctors are liars. You are using the doctors to match the scholars.
No,
You have to read
He's
it
saying-
between the lines.
Chatting poor.
No, brother, he's using example as a doctor. How, brother, he's using example as a hospital. How the doctors kill people because doctors are liars. You cannot
I
rely
didn't say
on
that
them.
at all.
No.
I did never say that once. I said nothing like that. £100.
You are talking about how
£100.
medicine.
I never said anything like that. Uncle. You weren't listening.
I swear to
You are-
God, you are talking about. Wait.
Say wallahi.
No,
Say wallahi.
no, wait.
Say wallahi.
You're listening to me.
Say wallahi.
Listen to me. You said.
My brother.
knowledge is being passed
Who
here.
brought to medicine?
He's wasting our time. He's wasting our time.
Brother.
No knowledge is being passed here.
Brother, be honest. We were talking.
This is some
Who
customer
brought-
right about now, you know.
I'm not cussing anyone.
No, you brought. No. You brought. Brother, no, wait. No.
Everyone's telling you. Everyone's telling you to back out the conversation. You're not built for this.
Because-
You're not built for this. It's real. Listen. You look. Listen.
When you embarrass him,
No,
you're
no.
pushing his ego.
I know. But check this. Check this.
You brought medicine.
I'm not a heavyweight. Heavyweight in what? I'm a heavyweight. I've just admitted. Wait, brother. I've just
I
admitted.
read between the
brothers,
lines.
Listen. Don't
I
add to the
read between the
confusion.
lines. You were talking about scholars, and then he said you cannot rely on them. He gave the example. In medicine, in the hospital, doctors kill people. Why they give you? Because we rely on the doctors. You go there, they give you medicine, you die.
That's not what I said.
No, you use it.
That's
You
not.
die.
Wait, man. Wait.
Why did you bring the doctors? Why did you bring the hospital? What's the point? Why is the point bring the scholars and the doctors and the hospital and medicine in the why we are talking about
Do you want me
scholars?
to explain to you? Do you want me to explain to you? All right, let me explain to you. Yeah, we gave doctors and the pharmaceutical companies as a analogy. Yeah, for scholars and Muslims. Yeah, so the people on the ground that are. Yeah, the people on the ground that are practicing with good faith what they believe to be their religion. They have good intentions and they spread it with good intentions. They give their message, we talk, we converse, yeah? What I'm saying is, if you have doctors, they're not as studied as the people in the pharmaceutical companies that are actually creating the medicines and often creating the diseases. So what I'm saying is the intentions of the pharmaceutical companies may be different from the doctors and nurses. That's what I said. I said doctors and nurses are usually good people that want to help people. Even though some of them are bad people that do hurt people, majority of them are good people.
But
That's
what
the
has to do
analogy.
with scholarship
is that
in Islam?
If what I'm saying is, when you have to deal with a hierarchy that give you what you're dealing with, yeah, then you cannot be sure of the intent of the person that gave you that. You understand? So for instance, they do study, but they study. But they're also, but listen, but we know about Western medicine, brother, we know about Western medicine, and a lot of the research that the doctors and nurses are going to be studying are paid for and controlled by the pharmaceutical companies.
But why that has to do with the scholarship in Islam?
So what I'm saying is, scholarship in Islam, they pass down, they pass down.
Let me say something to you.
1 second, my brother.
You can repeat it out loud if you want, but I want to
They pass down what?
And you have a choice if you want to repeat out loud what I'm saying, but I know more
They
you
pass
won't want
down
to.
what?
Alright, cool. I don't necessarily agree with that, but if this is what you're telling me, then cool, I'll leave it. My brother, I'll go in peace.
Isn't it a pirate?
Not really, no.
You don't
but
think so?
Nah, I don't. I think that's a
carry
label.
on, carry
That's a
on,
label
bro.
that people can.
Carry on, bro.
Nah.
It's cool, man.
Are you alright, brother?
I'm
Yeah.
alright.
You know we're brothers, isn't it? Yeah.
I want to know why.
Alright, so this is my style of how I conduct myself.
I want to know
yeah?
why is the link from those examples from the doctors?
I've given you the analogy.
To
I've
the
tried.
scholars.
I don't know. All right. Does anyone else understand the analogy, even if you don't agree? Do you understand? Okay, cool. Maybe one of you lot could explain that. Ah, fuck off, No, but what? Basically, long story short. If you have to stand because you're saying that you're not a scholar, the brother came over and it weren't you saying that, so I know that's not your belief. The other brother came over and basically said, oh, don't ask them, only chat to scholars, which I think is a bit foolhardy.
But you know, for the people that just came now, sorry to cut you, what was the topic of the discussion?
I didn't even know, fam. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
I don't even
There's
know.
no pass of knowledge here. Like.
There was passing of knowledge. There was. But like you,
I know the topic.
We were having a.
I know the topic.
Sorry?
We were discussing guidance laws.
Guidance laws. So anyway, the point I was trying to get to is this, yeah. If you're not allowed to stand on your own opinion, yeah, when you're discussing with me, without a brother coming over and saying, oh, don't chat to them because they're laymen. It's not you, and you didn't accept. They're laymen, don't chat to them. I'll take you to a scholar. Come to the mosque, I'll show you a scholar. And for me, I think that. Why do you need somebody else to tell you what you lot can all read for yourself? Because like the brother behind you said, yeah, the scholars use the Quran and surahs, yeah, to validate, to get their meaning. So you lot are all capable of doing the same thing. So if you need a third party to dictate to you what you can read with your own eyes, then that means it could be open to political agendas or anyone else's, because they're men.
No, you. Is it him made you talk about scholars? Is it him made you talk about scholars?
Because I was defending you.
Let me address
I started talking about scholars.
I defended you as well because I said that
yeah.
we don't need scholars to answer your question.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let me address this one point. Just this one point. We know this ain't no pride, ego-driven thing, innit? I just had something I want to address it, inshallah. We know in Islam, anyone here that wants to disagree with me, put your hand up, please. We know that there are some scholars that other scholars do not take from even, and vice versa. There could be some like conflicting information from one scholar to the other, depending on where they learn,
Can we start from the beginning, Ross? Yeah. We use the term scholar. Are we going from, if I pull out the dictionary and look at the dictionary definition of the word scholar, is this going to apply to the men we're talking about? Or is this a personalized Islamic thing? What is a scholar? All right. What are we talking about?
So when we say scholar, we're talking about someone, as you actually explained it earlier in your analogy about the doctor and the people that run and bang the pharmaceutical company, they obviously have more knowledge. So for example, comparing it to this kind of analogy, you've got a teacher at a teacher level, for example, and then you've got the teacher's teacher.
Yeah, of course.
Also, for example, the scholar. So you understand and I understand what we mean by scholar. And then
But
obviously,
who appoints who a scholar?
exactly. See, now this is something subjective, and I'll tell you how. All right? There's a term that some people use, and they call it scholar for dollar. All right? Now you can understand just by...
You can be paid to say a certain thing.
You can, not paid to say a certain thing, but you may push down some money in order for someone to start stating you as being a scholar. For example, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, peace and blessings be upon him, said to beware of the misguided scholars. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you are a scholar, you are necessarily guided, because he has used that term and scholar in the same sentence.
How do you define a misguided scholar?
Cool. So a misguided scholar is someone who's going to teach you against, for example, correct aqeedah, against correct fiqh, against tawheed in general. So I'm not going to stand here and now badmouth certain individuals. I'm not here to do that. But I just wanted to be here to say, Umar, please, wallah akhi, I love you for the sake of Allah, bro. But if you are not sure how to answer something, the only reason why I said let me take this is because
don't put me down. Just try to.
I'm not putting you down, akhi.
Yeah. Because you are making me invite me to talk to you. I promise you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Look, what I was gonna say, and I know you're smart, and I've listened to you talk as well. You talk well enough to know that, bro. If you can see that a certain individual is not answering your question, then
I didn't even get to that point. I think it was an ambush.
No, you did.
No, we didn't.
You know why?
Actually,
I know you did.
We are not talking about this. It's this guy who came later.
No, but when I do it, I'm doing it to prove their religion wrong, not their wrong. If he's going to do it to prove their religion wrong, then when you're done with someone, move on to the next one. Because if someone doesn't have knowledge...
See, this is the thing, yeah? This is the thing.
Let me elaborate what I mean by this. Sorry, thank you, yeah?
You know what I'm saying?
Let me explain what I mean by this. Yes, I talk to a lot of Christians, yeah? I don't really entertain atheists because I don't have enough knowledge base at the moment to entertain that argument. So I don't even do it. If an atheist comes to me and speaks to me, they may get the upper hand based upon my knowledge, not because of based upon the lack of truth of my religion or the inconsistency of my religion. Do you understand? It's because I don't know the atheist argument. So if the brother here or anyone else that Jedi is talking to and they don't know how to answer a specific question, it does not necessarily mean that that specific question can't be answered.
So that being said, who is prepared to go against the scholar and decree them to be a weak scholar?
Or misguided?
Yeah, misguided.
Oh, cool, that's a good question. And it has scholars
go against.
as I already said, yeah.
So why does this scholar thing sound like a secret little gang? Can anyone be a scholar? How do you get?
Omar. It's all right. Please. Guys, be patient with him, inshallah. He's got passion. Be patient with him, inshallah. As the brother said, look, if someone...
You're not allowed to talk. Please, my brother, please. Let a learned brother talk, man. Come on.
That's not nice. That's a mockery.
This is what you're doing. You're not doing the same thing. Listen, man. Listen what I'm saying to you, yeah? This is the racist thing. I'm the one that said I'm down to have a conversation with my man. Yeah. Now you lot are saying that he's not fit to conversate with me.
Because
and when I'm backing you lot up,
me down.
when I'm backing you lot up, yeah, you lot say, oh brother, man, don't be like that. I deal with the truth, no matter how embarrassing it is. Be real.
All right, Jedi, let me ask
you
something.
real.
1 minute.
Listen.
Omar, do you want to continue this conversation?
No,
I'm here.
All right, cool. Listen, I'm out.
That's like when you say to your friends, that's like when you say, what, do you want to fight him? He's like,
he's still standing though. He's still standing.
No problem, man.
He asked me permission.
The reason humor. Where's you lot humor?
The reason. Hold on.
The reason. No. Wait.
Where's your humor, bro?
No.
Exactly.
Brother, we were talking before every people come. No. Listen, brother. You asked me permission if you can talk to him. I said yes.
Omar, you know the reason.
No. You are making me angry now.
I'm sorry,
You are
Omar.
making me angry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not good. In front of everyone, I said no problem. In
front of everyone,
now you are saying I cannot answer his questions. That's what you are saying.
Why is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
If you don't know something, you say you don't know.
I know, but you know what Jedi's doing? Well, big man saying Jedi.
Let's hear what Jedi's doing. Let's hear. Go on, brother.
Jedi is smart enough to know, you are smart enough to know that you're pushing at his ego. So obviously, if he's gonna say no, I can't. Is he not doing that,
I'm
Rasper?
disappointed.
Rasper, is he not doing that?
I'm busting Joe.
I'm really
I know you're busting Joe.
Listen,
I am disappointed.
You know that. You know that very well.
Brother, if anyone's hurting this guy's ego, I'm gonna be real. It's gonna be you. Yeah. Really? It's gonna be you and the other, you and the other brother that came over and said, "Oh, these men are laymen." He didn't even hear what he was saying. He just said, yeah. So
I didn't feel offended.
you didn't, cool. But I feel like my brother did, yeah. I feel like my
You were
brother
saying
did,
about me
and I
and
felt offended for him.
Look,
So if anything, yeah.
why?
Plus you got another brother. Wait. Plus you got another brother that's pulling him away, saying, "No, just stand
Yeah,
the
that's
So
I don't accept this.
So
by
it
the
can't
way.
be Jedi that's hurting his feelings because Jedi is still down to have a conversation with him. Because yeah.
All right, look, get the camera on me. Look,
You know what I mean?
Ahmad. Wallahi, if I've hurt your feelings, wallahi, my intention is not to.
because I give you,
Hold on.
you're asking me in a
That's
good,
fine.
a good way.
I asked you in a good way, yeah?
Yeah, and then
Did I hurt your
accept it.
feelings? Did I hurt your feelings?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you put me down.
That's fine.
Yeah, you
Speak the truth, brother.
That's fine.
Speak the truth. Shame the devil. Speak the truth.
Ahmad.
No, wait, brother. I'm being honest with you.
Yes, Ahmad, let me shake your hand. I'm very sorry for how you feel.
It's all right.
Wallah, I don't mean to, yeah? I don't mean to. Wallah, I don't mean to. And when I asked you, wallahi, when I
Yeah,
asked
it's a
you,
good thing you asked me. That's why I said, yeah, you can just jump in.
if there was another way for me to ask you, I would have. Like, I would want to whisper to you. I tried to whisper to you, but
alright,
you're
you
sitting
can
here
say
at the
it.
moment. All I wanted to say, Akhi, please, don't get yourself into something on camera if you feel it's going to put pressure on you on camera.
No, listen. Why he's talking is not a deep knowledge to mean a scholar has to answer what he's talking about.
That's not what people are saying still.
Well,
Man
it's
saying
simple
that-
question.
man saying Jedi's Christians need a
Why he's
scholar.
talking about?
Hear me?
Why he's talking
Don't-
about?
yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
You
I
don't
asked
need.
man a
Why
simple
he's talking
question,
about?
not
Why
one that I had in my head
Muslims
before.
rely on the scholars?
He ran
Why
off.
Muslims
He
don't
didn't run
just
off.
rely on
He wants to
themselves?
chat. But what it is, he wants to be. He would answer.
The conversation.
The brother
Anybody
himself
can
will stand here and
Not
ask
anybody.
questions.
With
But
knowledge.
then say to everyone else, speak to a scholar.
It's
You
simple
understand?
question. His ideas
man's gone.
that means Islam is not for only scholars. Islam is for everyone.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, so you can follow it on your own way. Do you understand? You don't need to follow the scholars. That's it.
Do you agree with that? That you don't need to follow scholars?
You don't need.
You need scholars.
In some things that you can't understand for yourself.
So,
Exactly.
but what makes
telling
what
him.
places that scholar
I'm
above
telling
you
him.
in your ability to
You
understand?
see, you don't need
that-
scholars to answer his question.
She allows me to answer.
You can
Go on,
answer,
brother.
but
I'm listening to you.
Just put it down.
I can't when there's people in the back.
Don't worry, man. Just go for it. Go for
I
it.
do worry
You
because I
see,
can't talk when there's
sometimes
people in the
in this park, some people jump between a middle of a
Bruv,
conversation
just
without
say what
knowing
you gotta say,
what
man.
people we are talking about.
Are you thinking now?
You understand?
Slightly
His idea is
You got on their faces where you're thinking, but you look like you're not thinking.
even
But
why
you're
saying
thinking.
some
It's
Muslims,
like,
That's not going to get me to talk early.
you don't need
I'm
scholars.
waiting for him
You
to
can
finish.
understand.
I don't want him to say again that I've upset him.
No.
You understand?
No. It's
Why are you
simple.
upset? Why are
I'm
you
not
upset?
Because they tried to say
I'm
he's
not
dumb.
upset. I'm not upset. What I'm
Why are you
saying,
dumb?
no.
That's what they're basically trying to
what I'm
say.
saying,
Who says he's dumb?
No.
That's what.
Why-
That's the gist of what they're trying to say. He's dumb.
Why
He's
am
not
I
smart.
upset?
He
Some
can't answer
Muslim
for himself.
brothers are telling me I don't know nothing. I
Yeah.
cannot answer him. That's
Exactly.
why I'm upset.
No. If
What
the
would you call
Muslim-
that?
The only thing the Muslims
No,
are
innit?
trying to do.
And then many.
It's
No.
not,
The
innit?
only thing, the only thing one of the Muslim brothers was trying to do is trying and help you out.
No.
If you-
They're not helping me.
They're not.
No.
Sorry, I'm
Because
out.
this is not help.
That's it.
No, don't go. Where you
It's
going?
not help.
That's my brother.
Well, I don't get hurt, but you're saying
No, it's not
It's
help.
not
No,
help,
the brother
so-
was trying to help
No,
you
no,
out.
no,
Because
no,
there's
no,
Brothers,
certain
brothers,
things-
sorry,
brothers,
I'm sorry.
respectfully,
That's-
respectfully,
I'm out.
I'm out.
There's certain things.
I was out before you.
Don't go out. Don't go out. Don't go.
I've always wanted to do that.
No.
Come on, I see Hamza doing that, yeah?
move.
Brothers,
You
listen,
can't move.
respectfully, I can't do this. There's Muslims fighting around me. Listen, there's Muslims. Look.
He's not asking deeper questions.
We can
Ask him about Islam.
But let's be real.
Asking
Jedi,
about
let's calm
why
down.
Muslim has to follow the
Yeah, we will do
the
this.
scholars.
Let's calm down. My
You don't
brother,
need a
my brothers,
PhD in
my
Islam
brothers.
to
Okay, 1 minute. Just relax.
My brothers.
Just relax.
He's relaxed. So he doesn't want to hear about a next man taking over his conversation. You don't get it. You lot don't get it. He was having a conversation with me.
Before
It was
everyone
a
comes.
group. Majority of the people that was in the original group have left. Yeah. Majority of people in the original group have left because people have come over and said, You lot are not allowed to answer Jedi's questions. You need to be a scholar. And then we
What
went.
question did you ask? What question did you ask?
Okay.
Hold on. What was that question?
Because if you listen, you will understand
Can I
where we're
elaborate, yeah?
coming
The
Before-
brother that came and said that had not even heard the conversation.
He did not at all.
Yeah, he
But
can
guess
just
what?
and jump in.
But
He
guess
just saw
what?
me speaking.
You
and saw the
Jedi,
brother that was
Jedi,
talking to me.
You let him dictate the conversation.
I didn't.
Because I ignored it. He ignored it.
No, but he was shouting
you said
over
to him,
you.
No,
I
you
said
can't
that.
talk.
I said we don't need scholars to answer your questions.
I thought I shut him down.
said to
I
him,
thought I shut
said
him
to
down.
You're not helping here.
What was the question? What was the question?
No, we were talking about.
We are not talking about
Okay, what was
scholarship.
Don't tell me
We are
what you were
talking
talking about. Tell me what you were
something
talking about. What was the question?
We are talking about. We are talking about
guidance in religion and
Yeah,
guidance
we are
in
talking about Rastafari
way of life.
and then
Yeah? The
the
Rastafari
king
way of life,
Egypt.
the rules and the regulations and guidance. We were talking
If
about
someone
that.
asks you who is Allah, do you need to
No,
start to
we
answer
are
it?
not talking about that. So what were you talking about?
Alright.
Listen then.
Yes,
We are talking about Salasi. We are talking about Rastafari.
When the brother interjected about
When
needing
a
a scholar,
brother,
what was that about?
the brother came in. No, wait.
This is your
No,
brother.
he said I'm
Hold on,
layman.
hold on,
He
hold
said don't ask the layman.
No, but listen, the problem was.
Alright, let me say something.
He's a bad person.
Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said that knowledge is the key to worship. We cannot worship Allah if we don't know who Allah is. Muhammad, peace be upon him, also said, relay the message even if there is one verse. When we are talking about scholars, without me mentioning names, because I'm not here to mention names, I overheard something and I came in. There are some scholars who are misguided, and there are some scholars who are guided. Just like there are some laymen who are misguided, and there are some laymen who are guided. When I spoke to the brother Omar over here, wallah, he was not with some bad contention or intention. I literally wanted to know if he could answer the question or not. That's all it was. Inshallah, if Jedi, if you are...
Sorry, that microphone's strong. I'm just moving from the mic.
Alright, just for the camera, inshallah. If you do want to ask the same question to me, I don't know if you do or not, but if you do, maybe we can have a discussion regarding
I
that.
don't have any burning questions. I'll tell you what, it was more not to do with the questions, more to do with the conversation, yeah? And we got into an organic conversation, not arranged, whatever, people that felt comfortable to talk to each other.
So it's just arranging different topics, basically.
So we weren't arranging no different, it was just a conversation that was going on and it was flowing organically. Someone came and put a spanner in the works, obviously, and then before you know it, that same brother went and got you.
He never got
He
me.
did.
Oh wait, hold, you're
I saw him.
right.
He did go and get you. He
get
went
me.
and called
He
you.
did. You're right,
Because
you're right.
he said I need a scholar. So
I'm not a scholar.
But he went and got you.
I'm not a scholar though. I'll
He
say that I'm
said
not a scholar.
he stopped our conversation with fellow Muslims to say we need a scholar, and then and when we aired him, all of us collectively, Muslims and non-Muslims said, listen, bro, he went and drawed for you.
He knows I'm not a
And you
scholar.
came in,
He knows I'm
and
not a
now
scholar.
look where you're standing, center stage. You see what I'm trying to say?
No one said, hey, scholar, I'm not a scholar.
Man, put the Batman single in the air. The Batman single in the air.
As I just said, I'm not a scholar.
Yeah, but I agree, but it's not a forced conversation, is it?
Well, that's different, innit? A scholar's different to me. They're on another level, man. I'm not a scholar.
No, I agree with you, bro. I agree with you.
I'm not a scholar. And
Sorry,
you never
brother?
addressed me as a scholar.
I don't know, I think you lot are ironing out your like in-house thing, innit? Make sure everything's sweet. Everyone's good, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are certain, for example, certain questions here that I may be asked from this non-Muslims that if I can't answer it, I'm not going to answer it. I'm gonna dodge that conversation. Sometimes I'll be walking around and I'll hear something, I'll think, oh, should I get involved? I've got people that say, oh, Muhammad, get involved, Mr. Tawheed, get involved, yeah? Like, I'll hear it and I'll think, nah, that's not for me. I need to do my research on it. And obviously, do research from the guided scholars. I know the misguided.
All right, yeah, but this is the thing. Who's a guided scholar, who's a misguided scholar is subjective. Yeah?
That's subjective.
Because you know why it's subjective?
From one to
because
another.
It's men. Fallible human beings, yeah? So, for instance, when I was saying to you lot that standing, like the brother that believes that only a scholar can answer questions is a brother that don't have his own beliefs.
Yeah.
He doesn't have his own beliefs. Because if it's against what a scholar says, then he's going to say it's incorrect. Even though we all know scholars are human, infallible, and who appointed them? In your book, if it says, be wary of misguided scholars, and you can't tell the difference because you're not educated enough to know who's guided and misguided, yeah, then you need to fuck off all the scholars. Standard.
And then what?
Better
And then
safe
do your
than
own
sorrow.
research?
Yes.
And if you do, all right, hold on. If we take your logic now and we do our own research without the scholars, if we cannot even identify a scholar, and let me finish, please, yeah. If we cannot even, sorry, I'm just so used to people interjecting. I don't mean that you would do it, but it's just, it's that speaker's corner mentality, innit?
No problem.
So, if you've got, for example, if I believe that a
Every time
scholar...
he touches me, I'm going to touch you. I'm just going to pass it on. Lily, you've been touched, you know it. You want to...
Alright, so... Alright, so...
You're it.
If the way someone would say clearly, the way someone would say clearly, if a scholar is misguided, is if he sees clear deficiency or deviancy in his aqidah, for example, which is basically creedal belief. Now, if these scholars themselves, if we don't know how to make a differentiation and distinction between if their aqidah is correct or wrong, then what makes us think that we can do this when we open the Book of Allah?
Why? Because who are the scholars of this people though?
No, what I'm saying to you, the scholar, he will come and tell you Quran says this and Hadith says that, so they mean this and they mean that. Now, if I cannot tell
whether he's guided or misguided
by his deficiency or his correctness in aqidah, creedal belief, then how will I have the ability to even do that alone without the scholar, just looking into the Quran myself?
That's kind of flawed, yeah? Simply because what you're saying is, if you can't tell where the scholar is fucking up, then what makes you think that you could read the thing for yourself or understand it?
Cool.
That doesn't make sense, fam.
Cool.
Yeah?
Let me elaborate.
Because the credence and blah, 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 unless you lot are sitting an exam, yeah, that is forcing you to be 100% truthful in your answers, there's no way of knowing. Of this whole credence and blah, blah, blah.
I understand what you're saying.
There's no way of knowing.
I understand
what
what
we're
you're saying.
saying is, if somebody is incorrect, everyone else might think they're correct.
I understand what you're saying. Now,
Allah might think that they're incorrect. Yeah? May know that they are incorrect. Yeah? But you don't have a direct line to Allah. So then you can't say to Allah, can you verify this brother for me? Yeah? You can't do that.
We have consensus. We have the majority. We have a consensus. We have many people who can.
Many people.
Muslims.
Humans.
Example.
More humans.
Yeah.
We're talking about divine text. We're talking about divine text. You're waiting your soul on.
We have books in Islam where we all agree about those books.
What do you mean we all agree?
As a Muslim communities.
You all should agree on the Quran.
We agree without doubt. Yeah.
You should all agree on the Quran. That is your book.
Yeah, we do.
You shouldn't be all agreeing on a scholar because he's not in the Quran.
The
scholars are not in the
That's
Quran.
That's the only book in Islam everyone
the scholars are not in the Quran.
Listen,
saying that they are verified.
I said that
you can't use. Listen.
You don't listen.
You can't use non-verified people to verify a book that you say is verified.
No. To see someone's a scholar, the other scholars have to say he's a scholar.
Yes, but who makes the other scholars scholars? Other scholars. So then it
the
becomes a gang thing.
The first scholar.
It is a gang.
Because every time they come with a fake, like say to somebody,
it's a gang of scholars, bro.
And it's happened in history, yeah. When someone comes in with when a scholar or something comes in with with a aqidah that's wrong.
Yeah.
The other scholars are the ones that say, okay, they're basically the ones that say in public that so people don't learn from him.
Are you privy?
Where your teacher can go back to the Prophet.
Are you privy to their councils and the ruling and the meetings of these scholars that decide whether something is right or wrong, or decide whether a fellow scholar is guided or misguided? Are you privy to their guidelines and their meetings? Are you privy to their notes?
Am I in their meetings? I'm not in their meetings.
Are any of you in their meetings? No, because they are secret meetings. Of course they are. Are you allowed into the meetings? Do you know where the meetings take place? Do you know where the scholastic meetings take place?
I'm not involved in it.
It's secret then, bruv. It's secret. You have so little knowledge about what the scholars are doing.
I don't know, but it's a secret.
You have so little knowledge about what the scholars are doing and where they're doing it. Now, this is not attacking your faith.
Don't rely
because I still believe
them.
that this has nothing to do. This has nothing to do with the Quran. And this is the main thing I'm trying to say. The scholars are not the Quran. The Quran is the Quran. Yeah? The words of Allah translated are given to Gabriel and then given to Muhammad. Which is then was then correlated later on and put into a book, right or wrong? Because orally it was
speech.
It was recited,
transmitted.
Yeah, but at the same time, it wasn't written down until later. But it was written, and you all agree. You all agree that the Quran is the same all around the world. and it has the same meaning all around the world. Yeah, but you lot don't have the same agreement on hadiths, and you can't have the same agreement on scholars, because you cannot verify the scholars in the same way you verify Quran.
Let me tell you,
Is that correct?
No.
So you can verify the scholars.
Allow me to finish.
Let me elaborate this.
Go for it.
You can verify the scholars in the same way you verify the Quran.
That's not what I said. No.
I'm asking you that.
What I said
That's
no.
what I'm asking
But that's
you.
not what I said no.
But okay, but I'm asking you if you can.
If you can what? Say it again.
Verify the scholars in the same way you verify the Quran.
Cannot.
Can you verify the scholars in the same way you verify the Quran? As I said to you, as you said, yes. Hold on. Can I answer myself or not?
Yeah, I know you can't.
Can I answer myself?
Bro, yeah, you're taking a long way to say you can't.
No. I'm trying to answer my own.
Go for it, bro. Go for it.
As you said,
that's a problem. That's why I speak. That's why I speak.
Actually, please allow me to finish.
No.
I've just started.
Brother,
When you Jedi, ask me a question. Bro,
understand.
you're right. The
Yeah,
Quran is a different piece of information than the scholars. Yes, of course it is. So obviously the way you disseminate information is going to be different because you are dealing with the Quran. For example, there are some pieces of information in the Quran that you don't need an explanation from a scholar to understand. For example, it says, say Allah is one. We know that Allah is one. However, allow me to finish, please.
Yeah, I just want to put my hand up just to let you know that I want to.
Alright, cool, man. Let me finish. Yeah? So we know Allah is one, but if you ask a Muslim to elaborate about what does it mean to have the oneness of Allah, you speak about the lordship of Allah, the worship of Allah, the names and attributes of Allah, the judgment of Allah. But it is sufficient for us to know, we do know as Muslims that Allah is one, but obviously if you don't want to fall into shirk and you don't want to be defiant and deviant in your understanding of creedal belief.
The gatekeepers of knowledge, the gatekeepers of your information.
Yeah.
So then you have to stand on the beliefs, and the beliefs of other men.
Why he doesn't understand? These scholars, their narration goes back to the Prophet. That's why you don't understand. You are thinking these scholars,
they
make
perfect
their
people?
own.
Are they God?
No.
Are they God?
You don't have
Are
to
they men?
That's
Are men
why
fallible?
You don't
it's
know.
so simple. Are men fallible?
You remember
are men
asking one
fallible?
question about
Are men fallible, brother?
scholars in Islam?
Brother, are men fallible? Exactly. So you keep telling me that it goes back to how. All right. Do you understand what I mean by are men fallible?
I understand what you mean.
Stop doubting in
You recognize their
Trying to
mistake.
give him an excuse. Come on, man.
Listen,
You're here for bants, innit?
Listen,
You're here for bants.
Fam, you lot are bants.
Wait,
Naturally,
wait,
you lot are naturally bants.
That's quite arrogant.
It's not, fam, naturally this is funny. How can you not see the funniness in this?
When you say you mean the topic
You just
or-
told me,
or what?
fam, you just said to me.
Do you know what fallible means?
He just said he does, fam.
Listen,
Twice now.
I understand
so
what
that's
he's saying,
funny to me.
But he's not listening. What I'm telling you,
I'm not listening.
Muslim, yeah.
He's
Muslim,
asking the same question twice.
Muslim,
I'm not listening.
Muslim recognize the mistake of the scholars.
Huh? Muslims?
Yeah. Today, they will tell you where a scholar went wrong.
So then why do you need the scholars if Muslims can do it? Why are you differentiating scholars and
You're
Muslims?
not listening.
I am listening. I'm asking you a further detailed question. Stop saying I'm not listening.
But
That's
you wait
cheating,
then.
bro.
You wait then. We are talking about.
You know what? You
scholars
lot continue. I am actually out this time. Genuinely.
Scholars make mistake.
See you later, brother.
You understand?
Take it easy,
Human
man.
beings make mistake. We all make mistake. You understand? But what I'm saying, Muslims themselves recognize some
So
mistakes.
you guys correct scholars.
I said I don't listen. I'm right now.
You guys correct scholars.
No, they will say there's scholars. You cannot be a scholar. You write a book, and then you make mistake in that book. Another scholar can be a scholar, write a book, and show your mistake, and then show the proof why you are mistaken.
What's the point of a scholar if he's making mistakes in his writings? What is the point of him being upheld as a scholar? You lot uphold scholars in high regard, in terms of their knowledge. You lot stand on the knowledge.
You can make a mistake then if
I
you follow
can,
your
but I
own
don't claim
way.
to be a scholar. I follow my own way, and I'm accountable to myself. In fact, I make many mistakes.
no
I probably make a
scholar-
mistake now.
there's no
I'll probably
scholar.
make a mistake now in our
So
conversation.
there's no scholar who tell you he's not making mistake. He never
Okay,
make
but
mistakes.
the point I'm trying to say is,
understand
I'm not here to-
scholars verify. Scholars are verified by other scholars.
Right.
Brother, just
Exactly.
yeah?
Yes.
Scholars are verified by other scholars. But all the scholars are human beings.
Exactly.
All the scholars are capable of
Making mistakes.
making mistakes.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
therefore, even when scholars are correcting scholars,
Well, yeah. Go on, sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interject.
But you're going to?
No, I'm not going to.
But then don't
I just want to ask you something.
But then
not about this, not about
if
this.
If you want to interject or you don't, which one do you want to do?
May I and you have a discussion after this is done?
No? Alright, cool. Yeah, maybe.
Is that alright?
Yeah,
That's
you
what
got
I
something important to say.
Yeah, of course I do.
Alright,
It's
cool.
Islam.
But I don't see why you need to book an appointment. We're all here having a convo, fam.
You're having a talk with Omar. You had a problem with me interjecting. You want one-on-one, inshallah. When you're done, find me, or I'll find you.
Alright, cool,
as you
man,
like.
my brothers.
Alright.
Listen.
Take a shahada when you
Inshallah, maybe one. It's already got a beard. That's halfway there, man. Inshallah.
Beards were along a long time before Islam was, bro. And they may be here a long time after Islam. So just remember that. Don't you can't do stuff like that. That's silly anyway. But anyway, my brothers, all I was